My fiancé said after we're married, you'll be helping my ex financially. That's part of the deal. I didn't argue. All right. I quietly removed one document from a folder he'd never bothered to read. I'm Natalie Monroe. I'm 34 years old. I've been engaged for 3 months to Daniel Whitaker. We dated for 2 years before he proposed steady, comfortable, no dramatic red flags. He's a regional manager for a retail chain. I work in finance investment advising. We met at a backyard cookout through mutual friends, bonded over terrible jokes and overpriced craft beer. Until a month ago, I would have told you I felt safe. That night, we were sitting cross-legged on his living room floor, surrounded by wedding binders and color swatches. Daniel had this enormous planning folder he'd apparently been building since his 20s, tabs, dividers, spreadsheets. I was mostly nodding along while half answering emails from a client. Then he opened his laptop and said, "We should talk about finances after the wedding." "Of course," I replied. "We'll schedule time with my advisor. Set up joint accounts properly." He didn't smile. "Right, about that. There's something important." The tone made me look up. "You know my ex-wife, Claire?" "Yes. She's been struggling financially. Lost her job about 6 months ago." "That's unfortunate," I said carefully. "What does that have to do with us?" He closed his laptop and turned fully toward me. "When we divorced, part of the settlement was that I'd support her if she ever fell on hard times." I blinked. "Okay, and it doesn't expire. It's permanent." "Permanent. How much?" "About $1,500 a month. Maybe $2,000 if her rent increases." $2,000 a month. "That's $24,000 a year," I said evenly. "It's not that much." "It's not nothing." He sighed. "I signed it. I have to follow through." "You signed it," I said. "Not me." That's when his expression shifted that subtle, condescending patience. "When we get married, my obligations become your obligations. That's how partnership works. That's not how marriage law works. You're going to agree because you love me." Supporting him was one thing. Supporting his ex-wife was another. "It's non-negotiable," he added quietly. "After we're married, you'll be helping my ex financially. That's part of the deal." He expected an explosion. Instead, I smiled faintly. "All right." He blinked, really just like that. "You said it's non-negotiable." He looked relieved, too relieved. That night, I went home and didn't sleep. Instead, I opened my fireproof document box. 2 months earlier, I'd asked Daniel to sign a prenup. He'd resisted, said it felt transactional. I explained it was standard practice in my industry. Protection for both of us. Eventually, he agreed after his attorney reviewed it. He never asked questions, just signed where he was told. I pulled out the agreement and reread it 3 times. Clause 8. Premarital obligations remain the sole responsibility of the original party, including spousal support agreements. I called my lawyer. "If he's paying alimony from a previous marriage, that remains his responsibility," I asked. "Correct," my lawyer said. "You're fully protected." He signed it. And it's filed 8 weeks ago. I thanked him and hung up. Daniel had just informed me my obligations included his. Legally, he had already agreed they did not, which meant one of 2 things. He forgot, or he never read what he signed. Either way, that told me something. The next morning, I texted him. "I'd like to see the divorce decree, the support clause." His reply took 10 minutes. "Why? If I'm contributing, I want to understand the terms." "You don't need to." "Yes, I do." A long pause. "Finally, fine. I'll send it." When it arrived, I read it carefully. 5 years, or until Claire remarried. The divorce had been finalized 3 years ago. 2 years left. Maximum. Not permanent. "This says 5 years," I said later that evening, handing his phone back. "It might as well be permanent." "That's not what permanent means. You're splitting hairs, and it ends if she remarries." "She won't." "How do you know?" He closed the laptop. "Can we not do this?" I smiled gently. "Sure." But something inside me had shifted. Permanent. Non-negotiable. 2 years. Those are very different realities. And if he distorted that, what else had he distorted? That night I began digging. I didn't start digging because I wanted drama. I started digging because I refused to build a life on unclear numbers. The next morning I called a former colleague who now works in HR for a company in Claire's industry. Out of curiosity, I asked casually, "How's hiring looking in corporate logistics right now?" He laughed. "Booming. Why, you know someone job hunting?" "Maybe." "We've got 3 openings right now. Mid-senior level, solid pay." "Interesting." Daniel had told me Claire couldn't find work, that she'd been struggling for 6 months. That same afternoon, I did something I'm not proud of. I searched her name. Claire Whitaker's profile wasn't private. The last 6 months were a highlight reel. Rooftop bars, beach trips, concerts, brunches with captions about fresh starts and new chapters. One photo stopped me. 2 weeks ago. her arms around a man. Caption 6 months with this one. 6 months. Which meant she had been in a relationship since roughly the same time Daniel claimed she was spiraling. I screenshotted everything. Not out of spite. Out of documentation. That evening, Daniel called. "I'm sorry about yesterday," he said softly. "I know I dropped a lot on you." "You did. I should have told you sooner." "Yes, you should have. I was afraid you'd react badly." "Did I?" He hesitated. "No." We set up dinner the next night. When I arrived, he'd already poured wine. Soft music playing, candles lit, an atmosphere of reconciliation. "I think you're focusing too much on the money," he began. "I focus on inconsistencies," I replied. He stiffened. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means you told me the obligation was permanent." "It basically is. It's 2 years. That's still a long time." "You said she was struggling to find work." "She is. Her industry is hiring aggressively." He stared at me. "How do you know that?" I asked. His jaw tightened. "You're investigating my ex-wife now. I'm verifying information that directly affects my financial future." He stood up, pacing. "This is exactly why I didn't want to get into details. You overanalyze everything." "Wanting accuracy isn't overanalyzing. You're trying to find reasons not to help. I'm trying to understand why you exaggerated." Silence. And I continued evenly. "She's been in a relationship for 6 months. He froze. "How do you know that?" "Social media." "You're stalking her." "I viewed a public profile once." His pacing stopped. "You have no right." "I have every right to know what I'm walking into." He exhaled sharply. "It's not about her relationship." "Then what is it about?" He didn't answer. I stepped closer. "You said permanent. You said she was alone. You said she was struggling. None of that aligns." "It's complicated." "It's only complicated if you're leaving something out." He sank into the couch, hands dragging down his face. "I knew you'd react like this." "React like what?" "Like someone who values clarity. You're making this into something it isn't." "Then tell me what it is." Long silence. The kind that hums. Finally, quietly. "I cheated on her." The room felt smaller. "Before the divorce," he added. "I didn't move." "She found out. We tried counseling. It didn't work. I destroyed the marriage." "And the payments?" I asked. "They were part of this settlement. But the exaggeration wasn't." He looked up at me. "I feel responsible." "That's guilt." "Yes." "And you think sending her money fixes that?" "It helps." "Helps who?" He didn't answer. Because we both knew the answer. "It helped him." "I screwed up," he said. "She was my first real love, my first marriage. I wrecked it. And now you want me to help fund your redemption arc. That's not fair. Neither is asking your fiancé to finance your guilt." His face hardened. "You're twisting this." "No," I said quietly. "I am seeing it clearly." He wasn't supporting Claire because she needed it. He was supporting her because he needed to feel like he hadn't been the villain. "And you lied," I added softly. "I didn't lie. You distorted, omitted, framed it to sound unavoidable." He stood again. "I didn't want you to question it." That's the problem. We stood there, 2 people who were supposed to be building a life together. And suddenly I felt like I was negotiating with someone still emotionally married to another woman. "Are you still in love with her?" I asked. His eyes snapped to mine. "No." "Then why are you so desperate to stay financially tethered?" He didn't speak. And in that silence, I had my answer. I grabbed my purse. "Natalie, don't. I need air." "You're overreacting." "Am I?" I paused at the door, or am I realizing I'm about to marry a man who hasn't let go? He didn't follow me out. I drove home with the windows down even though it was cold. Permanent. Non-negotiable. Guilt. 6 months with this one. 2 years remaining. 5-year clause. Pieces clicking into place. If he was capable of reshaping reality to protect his emotional comfort, what else would he reshape? I lay awake that night staring at my ceiling. I wasn't angry. That was the disturbing part. I was calculating, because love without transparency is just liability. And I never sign liability blindly. The next morning I texted him. "We need to talk again." His response came immediately. "Tonight." "Yes." There was one final question I needed answered. Not about Claire, about us. When I arrived at Daniel's apartment that evening, he looked like he hadn't slept. Eyes red, shirt wrinkled. The confident, composed regional manager I'd fallen for was nowhere to be seen. "I'm sorry," he said the second I stepped inside. "For what part?" I asked gently. "For lying. For exaggerating. For not being honest about why I've been paying her." I set my purse down but didn't sit yet. "Then tell me the full truth." He ran a hand through his hair and finally met my eyes. "The payment started as part of the divorce agreement. At the time, she wasn't working. I felt responsible. I cheated. I wrecked everything. Paying her felt like I was balancing the scale." "Balancing it for who?" "For me," he admitted. There it was. not noble obligation, not legal necessity, self-soothing. I told myself it was about fairness, he continued. But if I'm being honest, it was about staying connected. As long as we had that financial tie, it didn't feel completely over. The words landed slowly. You've been engaged to me for 3 months, I said quietly, dating me for 2 years. And you still needed a financial thread to your ex-wife. I didn't realize I did until you challenged it. That's not comforting, he swallowed. I've been in therapy. My therapist has told me I need closure, that I've been avoiding it. But sending her money felt easier than confronting that the marriage failed because of me. And where do I fit into that? I asked. You're my future. Then why are you preserving your past? Silence. Heavy, honest. I don't want to lose you, he said finally. Then choose me. His eyes flickered. I am choosing you. No, I said calmly. You're trying to choose both. He flinched. You want to marry me while keeping emotional insurance on your previous life. That's not fair. It's accurate. He sank into the couch. I don't know how to let go. You start by being honest, completely honest. No distortion, no framing. I am being honest now. Yes, now, after I investigated. He looked ashamed. I sat across from him. Here's what I need, I said. You either stop the payments, or you provide legitimate proof that Claire truly needs financial support. Not assumptions, not guilt, evidence. He hesitated. The agreement says you pay if she needs it. And if she does, then we evaluate it together, transparently. He nodded slowly. You'd still marry me. I don't know, I said honestly. Right now, I'm deciding whether I'm building a partnership or adopting emotional baggage. He closed his eyes briefly. I'll call her. On speaker, I said. His eyes opened again. You don't trust me. I don't trust incomplete information. He exhaled. Okay. He picked up his phone but didn't dial yet. She's going to be angry. That's not my concern. He stared at the screen for several seconds, then finally pressed the call button. It rang 3 times. Daniel Clare's voice came through casual, almost warm. Hey, he said. His voice sounded different. Smaller. I need to talk to you about something. What's wrong? I'm reevaluating the support payments. A pause. What do you mean? I'm getting married. I know that. And Natalie wants to understand our financial obligations. Your finances aren't her business, Claire said sharply. They will be. Another pause. Are you trying to stop paying me? I need to know something, Daniel said carefully. Do you actually need the money right now? Silence. I could hear faint background noise, maybe traffic, maybe television. Why does that matter? She asked. Because the agreement says I support you if you need it. I've needed it. Do you need it now? Longer silence. Daniel, please be honest. Finally, she sighed. I got a new job 4 months ago. My gaze shifted to him. It pays well, she continued. I've been putting your payments into savings. For what he asked quietly. A down payment, eventually, so you don't need it. It's helpful. That's not what I asked. Another silence. No, she admitted. I don't need it. The air in the room changed. Daniel swallowed. Then I'm stopping the payments. Effective immediately. What? You can't just... The agreement is conditional. You're employed. You're stable. This is because of her. This is because it's time, he said. I watched him carefully. I hope things work out with your boyfriend, he added. There was a sharp inhale on the other end. How do you... I know, he said simply. He ended the call before she could respond. The room felt unnaturally quiet. He stared at the dark screen in his hand. Well, he whispered. How do you feel, I asked. He took a long breath. Terrified. Of what? That I just closed a door permanently. And lighter. I studied him. Was that closure, I asked softly, or withdrawal? He almost smiled. Probably both. I sat back. That was the right action. Is it enough, he asked? That question hung between us. Was ending the payments enough to erase months of distortion, enough to rebuild trust, enough to believe I wasn't competing with a memory? I don't know yet, I answered honestly, but it's a start. He nodded. What happens now? We don't get married next month. His face tightened. We postpone 6 months, couples therapy, financial transparency, full disclosure. And if I slip, then I walk. No drama, no raised voice. Just fact. He nodded slowly. Okay. For the first time since this began, I saw something different in his eyes. Not defensiveness. Not justification. Choice. But trust isn't rebuilt by one brave phone call. It's rebuilt by consistency. And consistency takes time. We postponed the wedding the next morning. No dramatic announcements, no social media explanations, just a quiet email to the venue and a conversation with our families about needing more time. My mother asked if something was wrong. Not wrong, I told her. Just unfinished. That was the most accurate word for it. unfinished. The first therapy session was uncomfortable. Daniel sat beside me on the couch, hands clasped, posture rigid. The therapist asked simple questions. Why do you want to marry Natalie? He didn't hesitate. Because she challenges me. Because she sees through me. Because she's steady when I'm not. And why were you still financially tied to your ex-wife, the therapist asked. He didn't look at me when he answered. Because I didn't forgive myself. That was the core of it. Not love. Not longing. Over the next few weeks, something shifted. Not dramatically, not romantically. Methodically. He gave me access to every account. Every statement. Every transaction tied to Claire over the last 3 years. We went through them together. It wasn't about control. It was about transparency. The payments had been steady, predictable, almost ritualistic. On the first of every month. 3 years of guilt in digital form. After the call, Claire texted him twice. The first message was sharp. You blindsided me. The second was colder. I hope she's worth it. He didn't respond. I watched him delete the conversation thread without ceremony. That's it, I asked. That's it, he said. There was grief in his eyes. But there was also clarity. One evening, about 2 months into therapy, I asked him something I hadn't before. If she called tomorrow and said she needed help, genuinely needed it, what would you do? He didn't answer immediately. I would ask for proof, he said finally, and I would involve you in the decision. And if I said no, he met my gaze. Then I'd choose you. I believed him. Not because of the words, because of the pause before them. Daniel had always been quick with answers before. Now he considered them. That mattered. 4 months passed. No more contact from Claire. No financial transfers. No hidden resentments surfacing in arguments. When conflict came up, and it did, he didn't deflect. He didn't minimize. He didn't reshape reality to protect himself. He faced it. So did I. Trust rebuilding isn't cinematic. It's repetitive. It's boring. It's answering uncomfortable questions without irritation. It's forwarding receipts without being asked. It's saying I felt tempted to text her today instead of pretending you didn't. One night we reopened the prenup. He had the document printed, highlighted. I actually read it this time, he said almost sheepishly. Good. I didn't before. I know. I trusted my lawyer, and I trusted that you'd handle the details. That's not partnership. No, he agreed. It's avoidance. We went through every clause together. Premarital obligations. Asset division. Debt responsibility. Exit scenarios. Nothing romantic about it. But there was intimacy in the honesty. We reset the wedding date for next spring. Smaller venue. Fewer guests. No grand gestures. Just the people who mattered. I'm still 34. Still engaged. But this version of engagement feels different. Less fantasy. More deliberate. Sometimes I think about that night on his living room floor the moment he said non-negotiable. If I had reacted emotionally instead of analytically, we might have imploded. If I had ignored it, I might have married a man still tethered to guilt. Instead, we paused. We dissected it. We forced truth into the open. Daniel once told me he thought love meant protecting someone from uncomfortable details. I told him love means inviting someone into them. We aren't naive anymore. I don't believe in perfect marriages. I believe in transparent ones. The prenup is still in place. The therapy sessions continue once a month. And when the first of the month comes around now, there's no automatic transfer. Just quiet. Just us. Trust takes time to rebuild. But at least now we're building on something solid. Not guilt. Not distortion. Not unfinished business. Truth. And that has to count for something.